Eden, who say we to go?
Freetown.
Freetown. Let's go. Good afternoon or morning, depending upon when and where you're watching this. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan, and this is my channel, Mindful Missionary. In 2020, me and my family, my wife, and at that point, one kid, moved from the US to Sierra Leone. Since that point, we've added one more to our family and have been busy preaching the gospel and teaching the Bible here in this country. And we're actually here in the capital city of Freetown. And I want to share just a little bit with you all about why we come here, how we get here, and where we stay when we do. As far as transportation goes, we do not own a vehicle. That's something that we might in the future think about purchasing a vehicle for our own private use, but at this point, we just would prefer not having the headache of maintaining it and being able to store it at our property. And so that means that whenever we want to get city-to-city transportation that a motorcycle would not be capable of doing, we have to hire a vehicle. And there's two really different options for us to do that. Number one, you have to hire a private vehicle and driver, and this is really the service that we utilize most frequently on our short trips and even the majority of time that we've been living here. And so essentially this means being able to call someone that has a vehicle, has a driver. They'll come pick you up, they'll take you where you want to go directly. There's no like going to a car park or going to a designated area. They'll pick you up where you want and then take you where you want. Typically the rates, and this is really changing a lot now because as is true in the rest of the world, the fuel prices are increasing. But generally speaking, the rates for the majority of the time that we've been here have been about $100 per day for that kind of service, and then you have to pay for fuel. For example, if this driver is in Freetown, then that means you have to pay for him to come pick you up and take you back. Or if the driver is in Bow and you want to go to Freetown, that means paying for the fuel to go to Freetown and go back. It's not super common for that person to be able to use their vehicle in order to take passengers back the other way. So it means you're paying for fuel for both ways. The second option, which is more economical but maybe slightly less convenient, is using the public transportation and taxi services that are available. And so what this looks like is going to a local, what they call a car park. It's basically like a bus stop for buses, for vehicles. They're not all painted yellow, they're just all just random colored vehicles. You go there and you're able to negotiate with someone. Typically for a single passenger from Bow to go to Freetown, it's going to cost you about $6, a little bit less than that, which is not much at all. However, what we did to come here is we actually asked to be able to reserve all 6 seats. And so a really what should be just 4 passengers. They put 2 in the front passenger seat, and they line up 4 in that back bench, in the back seat. And so we just said we'll pay for all 6 just to be able to have the vehicle to ourselves so that we can go direct. And then also we paid a little bit more for them to be able to come to our house so that we wouldn't have to lug our luggage and our bags to the car park. And instead of them dropping us off at like a car park here in Freetown and us having to take either KKs or motorcycles to our accommodations, I also was able to arrange for them to drop us off specifically here at the place that we're staying. And so all of that considered, we spent, and I'm sure the local Sierra Leoneans will be able to find a much more economical way of being able to get around town, but this is something that we understand that because of the color of our skin, we're probably charged more than the average Sierra Leonean, and we have more than the average Sierra Leonean. And so I don't mind being able to pay a little bit more than what the locals would, but that transportation cost us less than $80. And so really, the difference between maybe 1.5 million or even 2 million, which would be about $150 to $200, or about $80. And another difference between the private drivers versus the taxis is typically the vehicles will be nicer. Typically, the private vehicles will have air conditioning and be a little better quality. Even though I've experienced plenty of breakdowns in both. And so that's always hard to predict. However, the taxi services won't have AC, probably less of a comfortable ride overall, but it gets us there probably with the same amount of success. And so when deciding between these 2 options, it really comes down to what's most economical or what's most convenient. And so there's certainly a balance between those things. As far as where we stay and what our accommodations are when we visit Freetown, we've stayed in so many different places. We've yet to find a place that every time we go to Freetown, we stay in the same spot. So for the first several times we visited, we stayed in hotels and guest houses. Since that point, these past few trips that we've made to Freetown, we've tried just renting or reserving either an apartment or a house, and that has actually been wonderful. That's actually been our preferred option and probably what we'll do moving forward, simply because that'll be significantly cheaper, but also that'll enable us to be able to utilize a kitchen to be able to make food for ourselves, which will also mean us saving some money. Plus, also, Sonia really enjoys cooking, and a lot of the foods that we're craving the most are foods that Sonia knows how to cook and would actually cook better than maybe most of the places that we go to. So we're super glad and super thrilled. The other reason why we choose a house over a hotel is with kids. I'm sure any young parents know this. Being stuck in a one-room hotel room for multiple days is just not super thrilling. Also, just having a single room when you've put the kids down and then maybe me and Sonia want to stay up and talk or play games or something like that, that's something that's not super convenient or accommodating to do. Whereas if you have a house that has multiple bedrooms, you have a living room and a bedroom, you're able to kind of have a little bit more separation, and it works in a better way for a young family. As far as what sort of accommodations we look for, we typically try to find a place that has access to things that we don't in Bow. And so the types of things I'm looking for as I'm researching houses to reserve for a short stay in Freetown are things like constant electricity, or at least near constant, looking for ACs, looking for hot water for hot showers, looking for a stove, oven. This place is the first place I've ever been to that had a washer. That's a super big treat. They don't have a dryer. They just have a stand that you're able to put your laundry on in the patio area, which is fine. So kind of the idea of coming to Freetown is a little bit of a getaway to be able to kind of treat ourselves and kind of get a little bit of a breath of fresh air in us while we are here. And so there are more better accommodations here. So we try to utilize that if we're able by reserving a house that has some of those things that we're not used to while we're living in Bow. All right, like I said, the next video I'll post, I'll include a little bit about what specifically brings us to Freetown, what are some of the activities that we come here for, what are some of the things we enjoy about our visits to Freetown, and so stay tuned for that video coming probably next week. Talk to you later. Catch you next time.